Chief Tui was shown to be very protective of his people in Moana, and he would not stand for any of his people traveling out beyond the reef. And it was revealed that this rule came from a tragic accident that occurred earlier in his life that resulted in someone close to him dying. But it turns out that there's a chance that this tragic moment in Tui's life actually stemmed from a connection that the future chief had with Taka and the heart of Te Fiti. And if he had been as prepared as his daughter Moana was, there's a chance that he could have saved Te Fiti before Moana was even born. While Moana may have been the one that returned the heart of Te Fiti and stopped Taka from destroying all life on their island, according to this theory, she was only able to succeed after her father's heartbreaking failure. The theory started on Reddit, and after thinking it over and looking into the supporting evidence, while it might not be confirmed, it's not only possible that Moana's father, Chief Tui, was connected to Taka, but it also leans into and is supported by other theories. You see, toward the beginning of Moana, her mother explained the reason why Tui didn't want anyone on the island attempting to sail beyond the reef. According to the movie, much like Moana, the chief was drawn to the ocean, and one day he and his friend took one of their boats out beyond the reef. But a wave overtook their boat and sent Tui and his closest friend barreling down into the depths below. Tui stayed conscious throughout the ordeal, but the same couldn't be said of his friend, whom he was forced to watch sink down into the dark abyss despite all of the chief's efforts to save him. When Tui returned to the land, he swore never to allow his people beyond the reef as he now understood the dangers. But according to this theory, there was actually a little more to it than that, and the reason that Tui attempted to go beyond the reef in the first place was that he was to return the heart of Te Fiti. And while that's never mentioned in the movie at all, there is certainly an argument to be made when it comes to whether the theory is true or not. In fact, when you break it down, there are actually two different ways that the theory could go and still be considered true, depending on how you look at it. The first of which explains that Tala may have been responsible for the death of Tui's friend after trying to pass her own duties down to her son. This version of the theory is closest to the original, which was posted on Reddit. I stopped Tickle Monsters. The idea is that the ocean actually chose Moana's grandma Tala to return the heart of Te Fiti and stop Taka from spreading, but considering her age at the time, she figured that she would have been unable to do so. And much like she did with Moana in the movie, the theory suggests that Tala pushed her son to embrace the sea, hoping he would return the heart for her. Little did either of them know that by connecting Tui and Taka and Te Fiti, Tala inadvertently led her son to one of the biggest tragedies in Tui's life. According to the theory, Tui agreed to return the heart of Te Fiti, which is why he and his friend took the boat beyond the reef all those years ago. There's actually a necklace that Tui was wearing during the scene that some fans believe may have been the same necklace that Tala gave to Moana in the movie that was fitted specifically for the heart. And though it's not confirmed as the same necklace, in the case of this theory, it was, and Tala gave it to her son so that he could return the heart to its rightful place, a job that he wasn't technically chosen for. And that's why, at least in this theory, the ocean punished Tui and his friend for trying to cross the ocean. As soon as the pair crossed beyond the reef, the ocean around them began raging, and it wasn't long before their boat capsized and the two were sent tumbling beneath the surface. Now, according to the theory, Tui's friend wasn't the only one who was lost to the sea. Instead, it's believed that while he was attempting to swim after his sinking friend, the heart slipped out of the necklace that Tui wore. And just like that, neither Tui nor his mother was connected to the heart or Taka, at least not in the way they had been. As this theory goes, the heart wasn't seen again, not until the ocean presented it to Moana when she was a child, which was shown in the movie. And much like it had chosen Tala all those years ago, the theory claims that at that moment the ocean chose Moana as the next savior. Now, in the movie, Tala pointed out she was there that day on the beach, and it's likely that she held onto the stone and protected it for Moana until she was ready as a way to atone for essentially causing Tui's friend's death. And whether it's true or not, the connection between Taka and the death of Tui's friend certainly adds depth to the tragedy that he faced. But remember, this was only one version of the theory. This next theory starts out in a similar manner, only instead of Tala forcing Tui to take on her own duties, the task was his to begin with. You see, there's been a popular fan theory going around that Moana's bloodline were the descendants of Maui, and they were tasked with righting their ancestors' wrong. In this case, they had to return the heart the Maui stole in the first place, and when one of the descendants failed to return the heart to Te Fiti, it was simply passed down to the next generation with the hopes that one day someone in the family would turn out to be the true chosen one. And according to this version of the theory, when Tala wasn't able to return the heart herself, it was rightfully passed down to her son, Tui. This means that Tui was connected to Taka from the beginning, and the tragedy that befell him and his friend might not have come from him not being the chosen one, but instead from a lack of preparation. You see, another theory that connects well with this one considers the idea that there were certain requirements that the chosen one had to meet in order to cross the sea. The first of which, according to this theory, theory was the necklace that carried the heart of Fiti. Considering the fact that Tala wore it and she seemed to have a strong connection to the ocean, not to mention the fact that she was around both of the times that the ocean acted up around Moana, there's a chance that the necklace provided a connection to the sea. And even though the creator of the previous theory believed that Tui was wearing the same necklace as his mother during the flashback in Moana, some fans disagreed and claimed that his necklace was totally different. And with Tui unable to control the ocean around him, the sea saw him as unworthy, and his journey to stop Taka ended as soon as he and his friend went beyond the reef. It should also be noted that during the beginning of Moana, when she attempted to sail beyond the reef without the necklace, she was almost killed by the ocean just like her father's friend. Only instead of trying again later in his life as Moana did, Tui returned to the shore and never went out beyond the reef again. Now, it would make sense for Tala to have figured out that part of what went wrong for her son came from the fact that he didn't have the necklace that controlled the sea, and according to this theory, she might have presented him with this information, but after such a tragic loss, Tui likely saw the entire ordeal as being too risky. This inevitably led him to rule that no one was to go beyond the reef, and he made sure to uphold it to the best of his ability. Tui likely didn't want to risk any of his tribe mates losing a loved one and going through the same tragedy he did, even if they weren't connected to taking down Taka as he may have been. Now, neither of these theories has been confirmed, but both of them could certainly be plausible, and they could even line up with how Moana's journey ended up going. You see, the idea that the ocean had certain requirements that the Chosen One had to meet before it would allow them to cross. Well, there's a good chance that Moana met all of them, including the ones that her father lacked, even if he did have Tala's necklace when he tried to cross the reef. If the first requirement to cross the ocean was her grandmother's necklace, the movie showed Moana getting it from Tala right before she passed away. But there's always the possibility that there was more than one requirement for the Chosen One to meet. Requirements that Tui clearly wouldn't have known about and could have led to the tragic loss of his friend, despite him possibly being the Chosen One, just like his daughter was. According to this theory, another requirement of the ocean was for the Chosen One to acquire the proper boat, which happened to be the very boat that Moana chose to sail out of the cavern on. A big reason why fans believe this boat was important when compared to any of the other vessels that were shown was the fact that the boat had a symbol in the shape of the heart of Fiti on it. And if you take a look at the flashback where Tui lost his friend, the boat that they used didn't have that symbol on it, implying that he once again didn't meet the proper requirements, which resulted in his friend's death. And last but not least, the final requirement needed for the Chosen One to cross the ocean, at least according to this theory, was the heart itself, which the movie showed Moana receiving from the ocean at the beginning of the movie, and then again from Tala later in her life. Now think about it. If Moana's father Tui had all of these things on his journey, there's a small chance that he and his friend would have survived their journey beyond the reef. But instead, as the movie showed us, it ended up being a tragic moment for Tui and his friend, something that stuck with him for the rest of his life. What do you think about these theories? Is there any chance that Chief Tui was connected to Taka and that's what ended up causing the death of his friend? Make sure you let us know in the comments below.